Well, good morning, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be sharing with you this morning. This morning we are looking at Colossians 2, verses 1 to 7, and it starts off where Paul is in a very similar situation to the situation we find himself in. He doesn't have a virus, but he is under house arrest. In Acts 28:30, it speaks about that Paul was under house arrest and chained to a Roman soldier for 2 years. I don't know how you'd have thought of being chained to somebody for 2 years. Maybe you think it's bad enough being kept inside for 5 weeks. But Paul had this, that he was chained. But actually he used his time. He used his time to write, to try and encourage the church. It's saying that the Colossian church, he may not even have met face to face. And like with us at the moment, many of us cannot meet face to face. But Epaphras, a convert of Paul's from Ephesus, was the church leader. And he'd gone to Paul to ask him, to talk to him ask him for advice on how to help with the church disputes that were going on. So Paul, even though he's distant, wants to encourage the church, encourage their hearts to be united in love. And I want to encourage you this morning. I don't know how you coped with Zoom or with Facebook or with WhatsApp or with House Party or with all the other apps that are out there. But keeping in communication is important. And I must admit, when I first started, I didn't particularly like it, but now I'm getting more used to the idea of seeing people virtually. And why do we do that? Because he wants to be connected. He's delighted, he says, that they are holding firm to the faith. The other day I asked somebody if they would encourage me by sending me a Bible verse. I think they're still thinking about what that verse should be. But that's one of the ways as a church we can encourage each other. Not just to say, hello, how are you, what's going on? But also to say, actually, how can I encourage you in your faith? How can I help you to grow as a Christian, even in these difficult times? Are there things that God is telling me that I would like to share with you? Paul says, as you received Christ, keep living in him, being rooted and built up and strengthened. We know, those of us that are gardeners and like gardening, that actually a plant has to have strong roots to be able to survive, either through the wind that comes or the heavy rain. It could be washed away. But actually, if it has its roots strongly built, then it will survive and it will thrive and it will grow and it will produce fruit if it's a fruit tree or a fruit plant. This is why we need to be rooted into, and Paul encourages the church to be rooted and built up in Scripture. Sometimes it's easy to think, what's the point? No one will see me. I'm on my own. Why does it matter? Well, God's given us the Bible to help us to grow, to help our lives to be rooted and encouraged and built up. Paul talks about being strengthened in the faith. And strengthened means being knit together. If you look at your jumper now, if you're wearing a jumper, or if you look at a shirt, if you're wearing a shirt, you will see that the fibres are not just all separated. They are knitted together. And that's what the Greek means in here. It means strengthened. It means knitted together. It means bound together strongly. And we need each other. We need each other as a church and as a community. We need each other. But also we need to be overflowing, Paul says at the end in verse 7, with thankfulness. Why do we need to be thankful? Because gratitude helps us. Gratitude helps us to grow, but also gratitude helps us because it releases chemicals in our brain, dopamine and serotonin, which are chemicals which bring happiness, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of joy to our brains. Gratitude rewires our brains in one sense. It makes us feel happy. There is an article, if you don't believe me, there is an article on YouTube called How Gratitude Rewires Your Brain and How to Make It Work for You. Maybe after this is finished, go and have a look and see all the benefits that being grateful can have on your life. In 1 Thessalonians 5:11, Paul says, encourage each other. How are we doing that during this time? Are we seeing our neighbours? Are we delivering food? Are we saying hello across the distancing to people? I have a challenge for you today. And that challenge is to think about maybe starting a journal of thankfulness. This week, I've got a journal as well, and I shall start writing in mine and let you know how it's going. But let's put down things that we are grateful and thankful for. Are we thankful for our families, for example, who have been in touch with us? Are we thankful for our friends, our church friends maybe, who have been in touch with us? Are we thankful for other people, even strangers, who've come to our door with parcels? So that's your homework for this week, is to start a journal of thankfulness. And I believe that if we do that, and if we refer to that, and if we think about that, then actually things will change for us. We will not feel so isolated. We will not feel so oppressed. We will not feel so bound, because we will be thinking of all the good things that people have done for us and that we can do to encourage others. Paul was imprisoned. We feel that we're imprisoned. But Paul was not bound. He knew his job was to write to the church, to encourage the church to press on. I would like this week, as we meet together on social media, to encourage each other. There is a lot to be miserable about maybe in the world, but actually there is a lot too to be grateful for. Let us extend that joy, that gratitude, that thankfulness to each other. But also let us thank God that He loves us, that He is with us, that He is faithful to us. I pray that this week that God's presence will be close to you, that your friends will be close to you through social media, and that you too realize that we all have a lot to be thankful for. Amen.